As a back-end content creator, there's that, let's say, fear or trepidation of getting in front of the camera. But I'll tell you right off the bat, one of the best things that can help your business in understanding your client is to have the empathy of how it feels to sit down in front of the camera and feel really, really uncomfortable.
Imposter syndrome, perfectionism, and what has happened is my voice has been silenced by me because of the beliefs, the mindset that I've had. I've gotten in my own way to just be like, no, there's other people out there. Man, my YouTube algorithm is full of all of the people that are doing that because that's the stuff I'm looking at. That's the stuff I'm curious about. And I'm like, no, they're already doing it better. So I'm not stepping into that arena. Like, how dare I? Who do I think I am?
We've been given gifts and we've been given a purpose. Yeah. It is actually more audacious to keep it from the people who need it than to stay small because you fear putting it out there. And this is such a great topic when it comes to creative entrepreneurs because perfectionism is a procrastination technique, y'all. Perfectionism will hold you back more than it will push you forward, especially in entrepreneurship, because usually if you put out what you think is perfect, especially service offerings and things like that, it's gonna come back with some feedback anyway. So it was never going to be perfect and you get caught up on the wrong side of the 80-20 rule.
On today's episode, we talk about why authenticity is your best marketing strategy. We also go over how to fight the perfectionism and imposter syndrome that keeps so many creatives stuck, and what it really looks like to build a business that fits your life and not the other way around. What is up, my friend? Hey, welcome to the Grow Your Video Business podcast, where we're all about helping you build a profitable business without burning out. My name is Ryan Coral, and today I'm joined by the super smart, slightly savage in the best way, Angie Callen. She is the founder of Career Benders and the Modern Coach, and someone who knows how to call out limiting beliefs and cheer you on at the same time. We talk about how to actually show up on camera in your business and in your life without feeling fake or forced. I just got back from a mastermind retreat with Mike Kim and a whole bunch of amazing friends. And this was something that we were all talking about. And one of the conversations that I had with my friend, Dr. Eugene Choi, who's a former interviewee, guest on this show. And man, he had some very powerful words for me about just showing up authentically as you are and not feeling as I am. Man, I have held back in so many different ways because of there are a couple of voices that I hear when I start going out what I think is like outside of the realm that I'm allowed to go. And who in the world said that I'm not allowed to go out this outside of this boundary that I've created? It's me. Although the voices that I hear aren't me, but at the end of the day, they are. And man, I'm just tired of it. I'm done with it. This is a safe place for me, but as I look at other things that I want to do in my career, like there are some other places that I want to go, and I feel like there are a couple of voices that would say, how dare you? Who do you think you are? What the heck? Are you serious? Like, yeah, that's happening here. So maybe you can relate, maybe you can't. Maybe you're like, what the heck, Ryan? You got some issues. I hope you are talking to a therapist about them. I'm not talking necessarily to a therapist about those things, but I am talking to people that I love and I trust and I know who have their best interest in mind, that they want me to succeed. How about that? I'm confusing myself with all of the words, but don't I sound so smart, you guys? And with my new shades, my new glass, I know I'm still talking about them, but I hope my wife likes them. She still hasn't seen them. If you're ever worried about what your peers might think, or you've hesitated to hit post because it wasn't perfect, this one is for you. I'm very excited for you. I'm excited for me and how I am overcoming this. Before we jump in, if you're looking for a simple way to show up confidently on video and attract dream clients I want to invite you to check out my video cohort. This is something super different than what I have done. I shouldn't say it's not completely different, but it's very different from what I've created. All the content and things that I've created for filmmakers. I've started to create some things very specifically for business owners. So whether you own a video production business or some other kind of service base or creative business or coaching business or whatever, it's called my video cohort. And I've designed this to help give you the tools that you need to show up as you are, to show up confidently, to share your perspective, and to start building or build more trust with your potential clients, to build some consistency, and to create the top of mind effect so that when people are thinking about video, they think about you because you're in their face, not in an overwhelming or annoying way. Sorry, that's probably me to a lot of my clients, but it just in the most natural, authentic you way possible. So if you are interested in this, go to studiosherpas.com/video cohorts. All the information there is there to help you understand if this is the right fit for you. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. But anyway, I'm super excited about that. And I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm super excited for you to get to know Angie if you don't already know her. So without any further ado, let's roll the drum roll. Let's roll the tape and all the things. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Angie.
What's up, my friend? Hey, welcome to this episode of the podcast. Today, my guest is Angie Callen, who is the founder and principal at Career Benders, Inc. and the Modern Coach. Angie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ryan.
It's like, Ryan, is that how you intro like all your guests?
I'm not judging.
Good. Thanks for not judging. I'm so happy that you're here. I really enjoyed meeting you at Terry's conference, and your talk was so good. Your energy is so good. So bring the heat today. Help me and all of my video friends just understand how we can build better businesses so we can keep doing this thing that we love doing. And
oh my gosh,
you're on the clock.
I was going to say, how long do I have and how much of a brain dump do you want? Because I tell people all the time, you give me one word and I can talk about it for 3 hours. And building businesses around the things we love and using our authentic selves is my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. When you are coaching and helping people, there are a lot of problems or challenges that a lot of us face as business owners. What would you say is like one of the most common things that business owners struggle with, or just need to understand and overcome so that they can do this work better and make more money and all the things?
Mindset. I think successful entrepreneurship is 80% mindset and 20% everything else. Because if your headspace isn't there and you don't have a little of that grit and a little of that conviction around what you're doing, the roller coaster of ups and downs that comes no matter if you're 7 days in business or 7.5 years in business or 17 years in business is, going to make you real sick real fast. And so getting your head in the right place is huge as you go through business, build it, and create something sustainable.
Mm-hmm. I agree. But what does that actually mean? Like how do we need to think about things? Like what are the things? And here's the whole interesting layer with this. We're creative business owners. So we're not just business owners that are making widgets. Like we put a lot of emotion into what we make and a lot of our own emotion. And so, we're just a little bit different.
Yeah. And I think that is a perfect cue up to one of the pieces of the mindset is being willing to be vulnerable and knowing what that means, what it might mean. We're talking to a bunch of video people and content creators. You might be behind the cameras out there, but at some point to be visible to the business, be the face of the business, you might have to step in front of the camera and get vulnerable, both in that position physically, but just in talking about what you know. I find that there can be, with created businesses or knowledge-based businesses, which is where I play really heavily, there's a fear around how you will be perceived and received when you start kind of creating content or putting your voice out there. And there's a level of vulnerability and just, okay, I'm going to do it, that you have to be willing to entertain. And that's kind of one of those pieces of that mindset and that consistency that you can build.
Yeah, it's hard from the seat that I sit in. I posted on LinkedIn this morning, and I'm launching this cohort for my corporate clients, my entrepreneur friends that are, not video people that want to show up on video. And as a creative, and as somebody who does this, we've worked with so many clients over the years, and we're very picky. We want the aesthetic, we want the look and the sound, and we want it to all feel authentic and natural. And so to think about us in front of the camera, that is like it's just one of the hardest things for us, because I don't want to say we're judgmental. We're just very picky with the aesthetic. And to think about stepping in front of this, I agree 8 bazillion % that every video business owner, because most of us are solo, we don't have a team, so we're by ourselves. So we are the brand, period. Those of us that have a team, we probably still are the brand because we're the founder. We probably have employees. If you have what do they call, partners in the business, then it's a little bit different. But if you are just hiring people that are working for you, you are the brand and you're the voice, and people are hiring you and what you've built. And when they can get to know your personality outside of a discovery call or outside of a networking meeting, video is like the best way for this to happen. So back to my, I believe that every video business owner should be on camera. They should have their own brand video. They should be showing up and just saying hey, here's the kind of clients I love working with. I hate being on camera, but I know it's just so important in building trust and all the things. That's what I want for us all. But the voices that we hear, the things that we tell ourselves are nope, there's already other people out there doing this. Who am I to show up on camera? I should just be behind the camera, directing my clients, et cetera, et cetera. Help us.
The imposter syndrome is a real thing. And it's just so ironic that as a, let's say, back-end content creator, there's that, let's say, fear or trepidation of getting in front of the camera. But I'll tell you right off the bat, one of the best things that can help your business in understanding your client is to have the empathy of how it feels to sit down in front of the camera and feel really, really uncomfortable. Ryan's, but if you're not watching video, Ryan's typing. So I just had a small mic drop moment, but I'll add to it because
settle down.
There's also now I get to bring my favorite word into this, which is the authenticity piece. You don't have to try that hard, because I also think there is a level of judgment when you're an expert in something and know how to create it well, of getting up there and feeling like you may not do it as well as you can coach someone into doing it. And we've all seen cringeworthy videos, right? I have a friend right now who I am really trying hard to rip that Band-Aid off. And he's like, I don't want to go on video because I know what I think of all the videos I see. And you're like, okay,
right.
Not everyone, luckily, is as judgmental as we are. But at some point, you just get up there and you talk, and don't overthink it and don't try so hard. And if you're yourself, your audience, the right audience, is going to be attracted to that authenticity. And it's not as hard and it's not as energy sucking as it would be if you're trying to posture and be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the challenge is we struggle with imposter syndrome. We struggle with perfectionism. And when I say I'm really these are the things that I have been overcoming the past 10 years. And oh my gosh,
situation. Royal we.
But I can definitely say yes, me, imposter syndrome, perfectionism. And what has happened is my voice has been silenced by me because of the beliefs, the mindset that I've had about other people say it better than me. If I'm going to do it, it's got to look, top notch, amazing. But even the videos that we produce for our clients, we make them way better than our clients want or need them to be. And even getting over that and realizing like, man, at some point, good is good enough. And we're losing profitability. Clients don't actually care. They wouldn't be able to know the difference between, the two different, this light or that light or this minor tweak of the edit versus that one. It's like, yeah, stuff that we care about. But, and not that I'm not saying don't care about your work, but if it gets in the way of you working more with your ideal clients, if it gets in the way of you, like for me, I feel like I've got this message for entrepreneurs to say, you need to get in front of the camera. You need to connect with your clients. And I've gotten in my own way to just be like, no, there's other people out there. Man, my YouTube algorithm is full of all of the people that are doing that because that's the stuff I'm looking at. That's the stuff I'm curious about. And I'm like, no, they're already doing it better. So I'm not stepping into that arena. Like, how dare I? Who do I think I am?
Oh, I think who do you think you are is a really interesting, so vulnerability moment. I'm working that piece of the imposter really hard. As I start to build my coach to coach practice versus my coach to client practice, because it's like, who am I to go after, the way that we train and certify coaches in the world today? Who am I to go after that? But we've been given gifts and we've been given a purpose. Yeah. And it is actually more audacious to keep it from the people who need it than to stay small because you fear putting it out there. And this is such a great topic when it comes to creative entrepreneurs, because perfectionism is a procrastination technique, y'all. Perfectionism will hold you back more than it will push you forward, especially in entrepreneurship, because usually if you put out what you think is perfect, especially service offerings and things like that, it's going to come back with some feedback anyway. So it was never going to be perfect. And you get caught up on the wrong side of the 80-20 rule. When in reality, the best antidote to the imposter syndrome is action, because we're really good at keeping ourselves in analysis paralysis. I can't do this until it's perfect, but you're never going to prove the imposter wrong until you literally do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh man. I've tried intentionally. I mean, I've posted a couple of videos specifically on LinkedIn that just are not that good of me. And I've done this because I'm trying to just fight that, like, okay, if I do it here in this room, I got the lights, I got the mic, I got, I look good, I sound good, handsome, all of the things. I got everything going for me. but
Editors.
I tried to, yeah, that's right. Yeah. But, step out of here, I grab my phone. I'm trying to do the things that I'm telling other people to do, where I'm not going to look as good as I want, and I'm not going to sound as good, and it's not going to be as polished and all of the things. But I think that's empowering. But I still struggle. I still wrestle. I'm like, yeah, but I want to. I've got the tools. I know how I can make this. I can really up level this, but I don't want it to feel out of reach for people. I don't want them to say like, oh man, but look at Ryan. It's like, yeah, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been collecting equipment for, since the beginning. And so, yeah, it's real easy for me to look and sound super good, but you got to start somewhere. Yeah, this is really good. You said like, we've been given gifts, and the longer we hang on to that, that we're really doing it to service. What's amazing too is when we look at quote unquote competitors or people that are in the same space that are doing something exactly like the way that we want to, we've also been given, like, you might have the skill to do it. You might have a skill to do a lot of things, but when you have the passion to do it, when you care about that thing and like who you're serving and how, if they implement the things that you tell them or show them, how their life is going to change or how their business is going to change, like that passion paired with that gift or that skill set that you have, that's nobody else has that exact combination. They have like parts of it and it looks different, but their story, their experiences are different from yours. And you're going to attract different people you're going to attract some of the same people. There's going to be some overlap, but there's going to be some people that resonate with you better and there's going to be other people that resonate with them better. And that's great. That's why it's so amazing to have different choices and why we all have been given different gifts and passions, and our experience is so different.
I love that you brought up the idea that you can work through that, what that looks like, right? Because even what you mentioned, like practice what you preach, you're going back to basics and doing raw videos, right? And in a lot of statistics will tell you that actually performs kind of better because of the authenticity factor. Side note, I have a friend who was on my podcast, Greg Chasson, who wrote a book called Flawed. And one of his strategies, it's how to overcome perfectionism. And one of his strategies is literally send an email with a typo in it, right? You do tiny, almost meaningless things that are imperfect so that you can prove to yourself there's no blowback. Are you getting blowback with your not amazingly produced videos? No, right? You are putting that authentic voice out there to the audience who is naturally going to resonate with you. And in doing that, you will start to even refine greater who that audience is, and potentially even refine what your purpose is and who it's for, which is what's happened to me, because there's a lot of different ways you can use it. And we may not be meant to only use it in one way throughout our lifetime, but you're never going to understand what that looks like unless you start.
Yeah. Here's the other thing. And I'd be curious to know if you resonate with this at all, but in my early days, when I was getting plugged in, we were doing like high-end luxury wedding films, and I was plugged into, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500 other wedding filmmakers from around the world. And we would go to these events, and we'd get awards, who had the best highlight reel and who had all, just all the stuff. And there was this feeling of, instead of like trying to serve our clients, we were trying to impress the other filmmakers. And it's like so weird, because when we judge our own work, or we judge the work of others, it's like, wait, are you judging that in like, where should you be at as a cinematographer or filmmaker or whatever? Or is this like, you did not serve the client well because you didn't give them what they deserved? And those are two very different audiences. Yep. And as a filmmaker, as a person running a video production business, for me to like forget about all my filmmaker friends that are going to watch this and judge me, I don't care. I should not care about it, because they're not the one paying the bills. These clients that are coming to me with their problems, what if it's a bride, we don't do weddings anymore, but if it's a bride, her problem is like, she wants an amazing, gorgeous story told of her wedding. So, okay, let me make sure I do that the best way I can. Forget about that one shot I saw that other guy did that's amazing, and can I spend half of my day on the wedding day trying to emulate that and oh my gosh, we used to do that stuff. And some of the shots were cool, but like, our mind wasn't in it for our couples. And then when we work with businesses today, it's the same game that we play of like, man, what if, so-and-so filmmaker sees this, they're going to make fun of me, or they're going to just share with everybody, like, he's a fake and a phone, and like, can't believe he's making this stuff and people are paying him. Oh my gosh. So is there any of that in your world where you're trying to impress your friends versus your clients?
I think that definitely comes up in the content piece, in the content creator piece, because, oh, by the way, the guy that's saying that about you, somebody's saying that about him. We all know comparison is the thief of joy, people. Comparison is the thief of joy. Thanks, Zig Ziglar. Right. And I think that when it comes to, that's the lane you have to be really careful of the fine line. You have to be careful of staying on the either side of. Who is your audience for your content, and who are you trying to draw, and focus on them and only what they think. When it comes to your peers, don't worry about what they think, but that becomes your collaboration system to learn, right? So there's a different goal within your different audiences, and know that, so that you can deflect some of this vulnerability that we are scared of having. Because in our space, what I see most is my coaches are worried what their peers are going to think of their content. I'm going to look stupid to my peers, which is exactly the same thing of like, what was that lame shot? That bride looked 15 pounds heavier instead of 15 pounds lighter. Because, by the way, that's the goal of all wedding videos on the planet. However, it doesn't matter if it resonates with the people you want that content to resonate with.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. I mean, quite honestly, even launching this podcast 9 years ago, there was this fear of like, who am I? I'm going to be talking about my business. People are going to be like, dude, your business is dumb. The work you guys do is bad. Like, what do there's 20 other people that they should be doing this. And why are you doing, all this? I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what is wrong? there goes all my joy. But we did it. We did it. We stuck with it. But there have been seasons where it's just like, oh man, I hope so-and-so doesn't see this. And, in the back of my head, they're going to say this. I'm like, no, that's not who I'm not here to serve them. This is not for them. Why am I letting them have that space in my head?
Exactly. That's it. Other people don't get your joy. That's how I have decided, whether they want to judge you, whether there is something about you that creates friction. Not everybody's my flavor, and I've come to terms with that. But I find that's more about them than me. And if you can remember that, you can stay on your course, stay committed, and feel less exposed because you know why you're doing it and why you find joy in it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, the why, super important. What do you think is the opposite of comparison is the thief of joy? Like, so instead of comparing, what do we do? Or what should we do? Not what do we do? Is it like compliment?
That's a good question. I think collaboration, confidence.
I'm just thinking.
Ryan and I are writing a book in real time here.
That's right. Yeah, right. Complimenting, like trying to see what there's always good in something, or there's always some kind of good in all the things. So trying to find the good, like what is the good, and
generosity,
encouraging,
there it is.
Complimenting.
Generosity. As a resume writer for many years, I have to find the right word. It is, I think, generosity is the
Google that?
Is the opposite. No, I Googled it in Angie's brain.
GPT. Yeah, good job, Angie's brain. Always showing
just as fast as AI over
that's
here.
Good. Yeah, I love that. Okay, the book. So what's the title of the book then?
Generosity. The overcomer of the comparison trap. I don't know. That was not very eloquent.
We'll do like comparison is a thief of joy, and then we'll just like cross it out.
Cross it out and then say generosity is the giver of life. There you go.
Yeah. Let's go.
I knew we'd get there.
I'll read that book, or I'll write that book, whichever. Okay. So I love your heartbeat for authenticity. I mean, that is like, there's so much freedom in that, right? Like
yes.
when I think about authenticity, I think freedom, and it's like, you don't have to be somebody that you're not. And when we transition from wedding films to working with corporations, I'm working with families that like love my sarcasm and my sense of humor. And then I start working with businesses that are all buttoned up, and I'm like, oh gosh. And there's CEOs and KPIs and, I don't know, just lots of things that I don't understand the words and the verbiage. And so I'm super insecure in that space, and just feeling like, do I need to show up as, somebody that I'm not? And when I found out early on, no, I was like, oh, I could get behind this. I could get behind being me. When you think about authenticity, like what are maybe a couple of things that come to mind for you?
I think comfortable in your own skin.
Mm-hmm.
I think relatability. Trust, I think, is a big thing that comes out of that, because people don't feel as if you are someone you're not, or as if you're saying something disingenuous. But I also think there's an important piece of authenticity that we have to think about, is that it also doesn't mean completely exposed. You can be like an authentic while being professional, and while drawing that line of how those two things kind of come together. Authenticity doesn't mean necessarily like open the closets and here comes everything. It is, I think, more about how you connect and communicate with people, and making sure that is very genuine.
So how do you do that? How do you go about coming across like that?
I don't know, because I just do it. And that's part of it.
Helpful.
And it's funny, because then when I start thinking about that, how does that actually look? I have always been somebody who doesn't know how to be anyone other than myself. And I don't mean that in that I'm unapologetically me, because I actually think sometimes that's an act a little bit, right? I'm going to be so unapologetically me. It's for shock value. And to me, that's actually, you're actually trying to be authentic, which isn't being authentic. So for me, I have always been a very direct communicator, especially for a woman, and that can take some people by surprise. But I am, kindly and lovingly and tactfully direct. And I don't know how to provide a loving opinion whenever I'm given an opportunity, right? So there's just things about me that
just just like my wife. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like,
I mean, you're just
people are
gonna
like,
get it.
wow,
Whoever
that
whoever I show up at.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
It's been
So.
interesting to watch people interact with Andrea, my wife, because some people are like taken aback, like, wow, you're not going to sugarcoat that? She's like, well, why? I mean,
Why?
here it is.
I ain't got time for sugar.
And she
I mean,
loves
I'll eat
and
it,
cares and yeah.
but
and there she is. This is awkward. There's Angie's
right in time of us talking about her.
heard him talking bad about me.
No, we're talking
What's
great
so funny
things
is-
about women who don't
Yes.
sugarcoat things. So there you go. She can't hear. We're talking about
Yeah,
how
she's
you and
like-
I are two birds of a feather.
How
There you go.
Are two birds of a feather.
No. What?
No beating around the bush.
Nope.
Just say it how it is, and
Only way to be.
it's the only.
That's
way to
right.
be.
But it also doesn't mean you
the
have to be
ironic part-
mean, right? You don't have to be mean.
Yes. Oh, she said you don't have to be mean. Write that down. Just kidding. I'm just
my
gonna say this is so funny. The earlier today, I'm batching episodes, and the episode I just wrapped up, I was talking about how much my wife loves me, and actually, I wasn't saying that. I forget we were talking about marriage stuff and work and overcommitment and all this stuff. And I'm like, I gotta have Andrea on the show and have her share. She's never been on the show. There's 400 something episodes in, and she just showed up. Like, what's happening right now?
It's a sign. Which, by the way, I'm going to
Serendipitous.
take this as an opportunity to say
Please.
something to both you, and you can tell her afterwards because I don't think she can hear,
Okay.
and to everybody else out there.
Yeah, she can't.
Your relationship, your personal relationship, your spouse, the person you choose to do life with will have just as much, if not more, impact on the success of your business as you. Because if you do not have a supportive one, you will not be successful. And I'm very grateful that I have
That's really good.
I have one that will do anything and everything I ask him to do, from learn how to use a camera to put all new trim in our house, which is what's happening right now.
I thought you guys are you in an RV or are you actually in a house?
We lived in a school bus that we turned into a tiny house for 4 years until about 3 years ago when we bought our house.
Okay.
And that's how we bought our house, is because we cut our living expenses down to about nil. But fun fact, we bought a big old yellow 1989 Bluebird bus that was totally gutted. So I bought a steel bullet and we built a house inside of it ourselves. Every single square
awesome.
piece of it. No one else touched it.
That's so fun.
It made us really fun. Speaking of weddings, it made us really fun when we went to weddings, because we would walk in and sit down at a table and the whole table would go, "Oh, you're the bus people." It was like everybody knew the bus people were coming and were on the guest list and wanted to talk about it.
I love that. I think that I just want to spend a minute here when we talking about spouses and the people who we've, I think, committed our lives to. It is worth pressing into if your career, especially as an entrepreneur, because you are picking that, right? You are building whatever it is that you want to build. If you're at a job, you have limited choices unless you leave that job. But when you are building your business, you have choices. And so my encouragement, if you are in a space where you and your spouse don't see eye to eye on how it's working out, you need to press into that. And I just watching a ridiculous show. But one of the most redeeming lines of this show was this dad who's working tons of hours and he's trying to convince his wife that this is the time, and she's like, we've got enough. We've got so much. We've got way more money than we need. And he's like, no, I need to do this. And she's like, we need you. And it's like, oh yeah, like your presence and your that is way more important than your business, especially if you're an entrepreneur, because as entrepreneurs, like we come up with things of like, maybe I could do this, maybe I could turn that into a business, or maybe I could, instead of, for me, when I was doing weddings, I was Friday, Saturday, Sunday shooting wedding. And then I would start back working on Monday, because like, that's when you work, right?
Yeah.
My poor wife is like, what the heck? Like, aren't you going to take a day off? You just worked the entire weekend. Like, when do we get to hang out and when do we get to see each other? So that's my PSA. Spend time, and maybe like having a therapist or a counselor or a mediator or somebody that can sit in the middle and just kind of help you walk through that together, versus however you might walk through that.
You don't want that. You do not want to go violently into the future, because especially a created entrepreneurial endeavor, even more when you're a creative, but when you are building the things you're selling, that at that point, entrepreneurship is a lifestyle choice. And when you're employed and you're in a career track, that always impacts your life. And if you change jobs, it's going to impact your family. But the choice to start a business built on your intellectual property or your creative property is a lifestyle decision in many, many, many ways, from financial to the fact that you are going to work 7 days a week when you're building it. And so it has even greater impact on your life situation. And if somebody isn't on board with that or against that, it's really going to hold you back and create issues across the board. So want to make sure you're equally yoked on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. That's so good. Man, this is we're going in places I didn't plan on going, but I'm loving every second of it.
You're welcome.
Note, remember, you did you had a mic drop moment. I took that one note.
Yay.
That was good.
You're going to have to remind me what it was. It's funny. I started recording all my client meetings because the amount of times that I would just drop some, can we just say like genius sentence? And they'd be like, can you say that again? And I'm like, no, I can't. So let's just start recording these so you can hear the sound bites over and over again. I'll have to listen to the
best thing that I have done if I'm a guest on a podcast is I'll open up Riverside and hit record just for me, right? I'm hopping on Zoom or whatever with the person that's having me on, or coaching calls. I mean, we're recording all of those.
Recording all of them.
And I'm recording them in HD so that if I do say something brilliant, we can repurpose that, turn it into a helpful piece of content.
There you go. I just got one of those Plod AI recorders, by the way. Have you found those things yet?
What is it?
It's called a Plod AI recorder. It looks like a little credit card that you put in your pocket and record. And why am I not using it right now is the giant question. I bought it for this conference I spoke at last week and stuck it in my pocket. So all the genius from the stage was recorded.
That's great. Okay. So let's try to boil all the things down. We've talked about authenticity. We've talked about the power and impact, in building trust, the way that you can do that, showing up as your real self, not feeling compelled to like have to share all the things or be open about all the things, but being tactful and also embracing who you are. And the sooner people can see and understand the real you, that's when trust is built. You know, we met at the thing, and when you get to hang out in person with somebody, and maybe you've seen them before online, but then you're in person, it's like, oh my gosh, like you are a real human, and this is so cool. And trust, you know, it happens so fast when you're in person. But the opportunity that video allows us to build some trust, it's hard to come up with anything better in my mind outside of in-person stuff. I might be a little biased.
You're talking to a recovering engineer who loves people, so we share the same bias.
Yes. So, okay, boiling down, like when you think about, I'm a video business owner. I want to keep doing this work. I love it. But it's really, it has its own challenges, and trying to stay on top of all the things. You know, I got to market this thing. Not only am I trying to create great films for my clients, but then I need to figure out how to market better. I need to know how to network because I'm not good with people. You know, the list of all of the things is so long, so overwhelming. What is one of the best pieces of advice that you would have for somebody that is probably solo? You know, maybe they've got a part-time person or a contractor where they can delegate some things to, but at the end of the day, the amount of responsibilities, it's a lot of stuff. So how do we show up most effectively? Just help us know how we can stick around and do this for as long as we want to versus having to shut down earlier because we're not able to.
Yeah, burnout. Stave it off before it even hits, because once it's there, it's really hard to unwind it. I have a few thoughts there. One, from a logistical perspective, I'm a big fan of time blocking. And even theming your days. So if you're a solopreneur who can delegate very little, make Monday your marketing day where you kind of create all your content, write all your emails, do all your marketing stuff, ship it out. Tuesday could be finance day where you go and do your bookkeeping, pay your bills, whatever it is. Wednesday could be a free day, right? Thursday could be a professional development day where you're learning whatever you want to learn. But you do a theme day and then you time block that and put it in your calendar so that it is in there as a requirement and not an option. Because I know one of my traps is I will always put client work or the things I'm getting paid for before the stuff that I know is going to actually help get me paid more. Right. Yeah. So that's a logistical thing. And then I would say from a bigger picture strategy perspective, focus on one thing at a time. Chunk it down, because growing a business is a giant amorphous blob that is really hard to make sense of. But if you can turn it into some sort of stepped type of process, because there's no specifically right or wrong way to do it, as long as it's maintainable and manageable for you. So take that big amorphous blob and chunk it down, and then focus on the single most important thing you can do to move your business forward. And once that is in place, you focus on what is now the next most important thing that will move your business forward. And so don't try to do it all the time.
Yeah, man, that's so good. 1,000,000%. I approve. Michael Hyatt, do you follow him at all?
Yep.
Yeah, that was the first place I heard about theme days. I was like, oh, that's an interesting concept. I do theme days a little bit, but mostly blocking. I definitely block my days out. Like right now, this is the one day of the month where I'm doing all of these podcast interviews, and there's certain things that I never want to do on a Friday. And I even tell my team, like, don't do any deliverables on Friday. Like, deliver stuff to clients on Thursdays so you don't have the weekend to think about and wonder, like, did they like it? Do they, are they mad? Oh, they've got a last minute edit that we need to do and they need it now. And now I'm working on Saturday, stuff like that. But I think those are two really important pieces. The breaking down a project into, a bunch of tasks, I still get hung up. I'll have something in my inbox that is just sitting in there. And I tell my assistant, I'm like, hey, if I have something that's been in my inbox for like 20 days, it's because it's not a quick yes or no. It's like there's multiple layers, and I need 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour to think through. So I just told her, I said, ask me, what's the next step? Like, what's the very first thing that we need to do to help you get closer to being able to answer this email?
Yeah, to get this thing out of your inbox. I'm so glad I'm not the only person who uses their inbox as a to-do list. And it is the thing that I'm constantly told not to do, and I still do it.
Yeah, I don't. It's not like it used to be. It is not like it used to be. Like, typically what happens now is my EA and I talk, and there will be, like, I'm onboarding. She's 2 weeks in. And so I'll tell her, like, hey, there's a couple of emails in there that are from like 2 months ago. You need to find time on my calendar so that I do that. Even if it's just like, we don't know what the next step is, put 30 minutes in, and Ryan, you're going to sit with this one email and figure out what the heck needs to happen. Because using your inboxes as a task list or to do it, terrible. Not really there anymore. So
I'll add one more little piece of the puzzle to the time blocking calendar. Energy management is also a piece of it. Know your circadian rhythm and do hard thinking work during your strongest times of day, and then build everything around that. So for me, if I have like strategy work I need to do, or when I wrote a lot of resumes, I always did that in the morning, and I would not start seeing clients. I still don't start seeing clients until 11 a.m. because I am a morning person. And I want to do all of my good stuff before I start talking to people, because I can talk to people all day long, no matter how much energy I have or not, because I'm going to get energy back from that. Right. So know when you're most energized, what gives you energy and what drains energy, and design your workflows around that. You will be shocked at how much more productive you are.
Yeah. You and me, the same.
Yes.
The same. morning. I can do podcasts all day long. I mean, I
Me
get to
too.
hang out. It's just like, this is good. Okay. If people want to work with you, if they want to know more about you, where are the places they should go? What should they do?
TheModernCoach.co is my business coaching platform. So you can check me out there. I do a lot of coach to coach work in training and certifying and skill building for the practitioner of coaching, but love when I have the opportunity to help somebody figure out exactly what their kind of differentiator is, what their product and kind of like deliverables are, and how to tell that story. So TheModernCoach.co is a great place to find me. I would love for you to, book time on my calendar and let's chat.
Love it. So good. Also podcast.
Yeah, I have a pod. Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. I have a little podcast.
Yeah.
It's called this guy will be on it sometime in the near future. It's called No More Mondays. And we talk to people who have figured out how to love what they do and helps them live and work authentically. And now we're helping other people do the same through those stories and great actionable advice to just, get a step closer to an integrated career and life.
Love it. So good. Angie, thank you so much. This was very entertaining, very thought-provoking. I took notes. There were mic drop moments. My wife made an appearance. It's like all of my favorite things. So
Thanks.
appreciate you. Excited for all that you're up to, and just grateful that we got this time together.
Likewise. Thanks so much for having me, Ryan.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Grow Your Video Business podcast. If you got something out of today's conversation, do me a favor, share it with a friend or post it on your socials. Tag me at Ryan Coral or at Grow Your Video Business. I'd love to know what resonated with you. If you've got a question or takeaway, drop a comment wherever you're listening or watching this. You can also shoot me a message. I read every single one. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. We've got more stories, strategies, and behind the scenes insights coming your way to help you build a business that you love. Keep creating, keep sharing your story, and keep showing up. I'm cheering you on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.